Okay, hello everybody. Hey, 715209. So it's Friday afternoon. I spent 4 hours this morning doing some game dev. I kind of want to actually change focus to the localization video that I've wanted to make for a little while now. So I planned some notes and I want to actually make the video content. Well, the slides, I guess, for the video. And any other, I don't know, like any programs or any other demo stuff we need to make. Hey, Phil. So yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. I think I put this over here. Yeah. Wait, no. Here it is. Localization lessons. Yeah. So this is all the stuff I wanted to cover. So let me go make a thing here. But I felt like this could be a pretty nice way to spend the afternoon. Plus, I've wanted to do this, and if I don't dedicate the time, I don't know when it'll get done. So where do I put this? Yeah, here we go. All right. Illusionary Moon. Actually, you know what I'm kind of curious about? I wonder if I just had AI like consume my notes and make a bunch of slides, how it would do. Hmm. Take that, whoever got it in the morning. I actually don't know who got it in the morning. And hey, Pressel. Let me see who got it. Chef Alton did. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So yeah, the line numbers thing. I decided to keep them, but I don't remember why. Huh. Did I put that anywhere? Because this is kind of annoying, but I don't know if people would care about this in, no, I don't write anything down about this. I don't know if people would care about this in the video. Hmm. Hi, Abby. Hello, cat. Welcome back. Come sit down for an hour. Yes, come. Yes, that's right. Come on. Come on. Come sit down so I can start working again. The petting stopped. She's like, why did the petting have to stop? Tat is right, cat. Tat is right. Man. All right, well, there's a lot of this here. How I found the translators. I mean, I guess we can write that at the end. How I found translators, mostly through the stream. After launching the game, I got tons of emails from people offering to translate. I only took one person up on the offer. It's hard to trust people in that situation. And in one case, I tried to get their credentials, but couldn't prove it was actually them. They ate them for lunch. Actually, it ended up being better than I thought, which is weird because there were four in a pack, and this was the fourth one that I was eating. And I didn't really like the first three. So I was kind of surprised that the fourth one was somehow better, especially because they're now like 6 days old or something. But yeah, it was a better lunch than I thought it would be. You didn't tell me what you had for lunch earlier. You just said how it was. What did you eat? Chicken and rice, I'm guessing. If the answer is chicken and rice, then Pressel's is very predictable. Talk about fonts. And yeah, dry versus wet. Finding fonts. I don't have much I don't have much advice slash info on this. We custom made our fonts for every language except Japanese, where I had the translator recommend some good ones. Oh, you know what? I should probably talk about how open it up for testing. Allowing translators to test the translations. I wrote some custom code in Skeleseller for this to let them pull in new localization files. Actually, chicken tortillas. So we had a very similar lunch. Oh, that sounds good. Guess what I ate like 15 minutes ago? Oatmeal. Oatmeal. All right, what else do we have here? Yeah. So the line number thing, man, I kind of want to just delete these. I don't know if you can. Wrong. That's not wrong. I'm not wrong. You're wrong. Turn off line numbers. I think you turn off the entire source when you do this. I think that's why I couldn't do this. Where is it? Location, here it is. Generate file name line lines. I wanted the file name to be there. Yeah. Yeah, I just don't want line numbers, but I want the file name. I wonder if you can, well, I guess I could write tooling that would delete it. What? I mentioned what you ate, but had it in the wrong context? For the 15 minutes ago thing? I'm confused too. Yes? Well, an oatmeal smoothie? Like a protein shake with oatmeal? Hey, Seth Alton. What are we talking about here? No, chicken and rice. Oh, for the lunch. What's wrong with protein shakes with oatmeal? No, it's just the pretzel has oatmeal every day. And I thought what he was saying now is I guessed wrong. Like it was oatmeal, but not in that form. I don't know. Yeah. But he was talking about chicken apparently. Oatmeal number one. I don't know what number one. Oatmeal's not bad though. All right. So yeah, this is a question that I have, which is should I just manually remove these? It wouldn't be that hard to do. It's always probably pound and then colon. How do we find the format of this? I guess I could search for xget text. There's some format thing here. I wrote it down. I don't remember where. I vaguely remember writing this, but I don't see it just quickly scanning through right now. Huh. Oh, hey, testing translation updates at runtime. I should write a note to that. Changing fonts at runtime. Man. All right, well, there's some like xget text comment format. Maybe here? Aha. Okay, reference. That's where it is. They mention this somewhere here? No, they only say it twice. The format of PO files. Oh, this is some like mega page. Oh, right. And I also made it so you can navigate to line numbers specifically. I think I'll keep that as is. Yeah. So unfortunately, I think xget text can only either have the full location dash dash add location or nothing at all. I figured it was better to just keep the full location in and write tooling to extract meaningful diffs if I want to do that down the line. Plus, I vibe coded a plugin for Rider that navigates me directly to where a string was defined by pressing F12. Okay, we should probably put that in somewhere then. And then there's one other thing I need to do. So let's put this over here, I guess. Yeah, this video is going to be a beast to make. Yeah, talk about dry versus wet. Here we go. What? Yeah, so in general, dry versus wet. This. Okay, so we've added everything we have to add. We filed everything we need to file. We just need one little other thing here, which is the testing updates in the game. Yeah, here it is. Where did I write this down? Here, yeah. C, internationalization in Godot. Update. Done. AI crawling friendly page if I've ever seen one. It probably is. That's the thing. Like I probably could just give. I've never actually used Gemini before. I guess. Where'd my slides go? Here. Yeah, but I bet I can click this button and then like feed it all of my notes and say just make this. Sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know if that was super loud for you guys, but I very much scared Abby. I'm sorry, cat. I accidentally hit the microphone. I'm sorry. It's okay. Yeah, I probably could just have it make slides. I think Codex can also make slides. There's a plus button here with create presentation. Although I don't know if that's Google Sheets. I'm now wide awake. I'm sorry. Yeah. Hey, Pickle. You have the upper ground, cat. Press the advantage. God, she's adorable. Love this cat. Can Codex make Google Slides? Do I even want it to? I don't know. Create Google Slides in Codex without opening your browser, clicking buttons, manually adding figures, plus you and your team can view the progress in real time. Iteratively building it? Yeah, I don't know about this. I don't know about the even idea of using AI for this. I'd rather just make the content myself. It's already all handmade anyway. I might as well just continue with it. Yeah, fine. Okay, so localization lessons. All right, so new slide, intro. So I think it's worth talking about yeah, I'll just put all this stuff in here. All right, mostly translation, not localization. Well, I'll just say focus on translation. Okay. And so how many languages is this? 7? I'll just say 6 non-English languages. Not an expert. I'm sharing what I learned. And my notes are public. There. Beautify this slide. Is that a banana? What is that? Why is there a sparkly banana? Hey, QO. Yeah. Yeah, maybe I should say release a semi-successful localized game. It's incredibly random. I wonder if I refresh the page, if it would change. Read the message. Oh, the original thought was that you guessed I had chicken and rice. I said the context was wrong, hence being dinner. Okay. I see. All right, I'll just say successful. Why even? Plus, I should probably truncate a lot of this. I shouldn't even say this. Whatever. Yeah. Let's use Godot and C# examples. Same general thing applies everywhere. And my notes are public. I'll just leave it like that. Okay, so there's our intro. All right, so I think we covered everything here. Next, start prepping for translations as soon as you know you're making the game. 17 months into a 23-month project, and it took something like an entire month to change the code base. Yeah. Okay, so then moving from there into this, I think is important. Having line numbers in the .po and .pot files is kind of annoying. Yeah. I should probably mention this is not a tutorial. Hey, Goose. All right, I think this is good. I think we should split it into individual lessons like I did for my other video. So lesson number 1, start early. All right. start prepping as soon as you know you're making the game. When I took it seriously, took an entire month to change the code base. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I want to just get my talking points onto some slides. Because some of, I don't really make these videos to make them spread like wildfire or something. Part of it is also just to remind myself of my own lessons. And it's easier to consume as a video sometimes. So start early, at least start for the localization. Start the foundation early. And then I'll say lesson number 2 is hold off on translating. Defer translating as much as possible. No, it's really just translating, I guess. How dare you don't have a day in the title? Yeah, it's not stuck in a broken tutorial work. That's why. It's not even in the same playlist. All right, so this is done. Now the next thing is this. I want to talk about the cost to update strings. Did I ever say this? No. No, yeah, I did not. It's localized and all. So do the foundation early. Hold off on translating until close to launch. The cost to change strings is non-zero. And the closer to final that the English strings are, the easier it'll be to translate. A less churn. Hmm. I think maybe start with one language. Tip number one, try translating a bit at a time. Yeah, so how do I say this? Translated the French first, which uncovered tons of issues. I guess this is lesson number 3. Don't translate everything at once. We started by translating French to 100%. In the process, we uncovered tons of problems. Lots of those problems are now lessons in this video. Yeah. Translators may ask for more context. You may need to change code and don't want to hold people up. Whether it's better to do 5% at a time for 5 languages or 25% for a single language is up to you. Maybe I should say like 20% at a time for 5 languages or 100% for a single language is up to you. Yeah. The pain of a few strings with 3+ localizations is so real. AORP. Well, anything that causes you to duplicate effort or lose effort, I think is good. Or sorry, a good thing to avoid. So yeah, translators may ask for more context. You may need to change code. Yeah, okay. Maybe before launch. Maybe I'm not totally understanding what you mean of 3+ localizations. Maybe that aren't translated yet. Because yeah, that's annoying too. All right, cost to change strings is non-zero. I was hesitant to change any strings before launching. So minimizing this period of time is important. Okay. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. All right, so now some specific potential issues you run into. Lesson number 4. It's got moved in the wrong spot. Lesson number 4. Specific problems with localizing. All right, let's start with probably the simplest possible example. Gendered articles don't exist in English. In English, the rogue won her first battle. The mage won his first battle. Well, I guess here we already have gender in here. So I should probably say hired the, yeah, that's a better example. Hired the rogue. Hired the mage. And in English, you wouldn't actually capitalize these, so I think this is fine. Tempting to parameterize this as hired the adventurer, or like hired the character class. Big no-no for gendered languages, though. Yeah. So what do we actually have for this? Hired the rogue. I wanna use French as an example. and then hire the mage. And let's put German as another example, maybe. Or maybe Spanish. I don't know what's most common of the people watching my videos. It doesn't really matter. This is a video about localization. There's no guarantee you'll know every language here, right? Yeah, Spanish I think would be good. All right, so where is this script? Yeah. Also, hey, Tony. Okay, so let's go highlight this in orange. And then we'll put this in orange. And then I don't actually know enough Spanish. Would I highlight this whole thing in orange? Is this what changes based on gender here? I think so. His athletics. Kevin might have convinced me to get the cat bed mounted to the desk for Abby. So I might order it this weekend. I have not ordered it yet. Don't know. Any Aussie. Arabic is the best one. We don't have Arabic examples though from Skeleseller, so I can't include that here. But maybe that's something I should talk about in the video, is like right to left languages. Maybe this is a bad example. Maybe I should just use the German in this case. I don't actually know what the German is. Yeah, I'll just use the French as an example. So lesson number 5. In lesson number 4, we saw this example. Yeah, in general, dear Y, don't repeat yourself, can only be applied to code. Well, I should say can't be applied to localizations. In other words, resist the temptation to parameterize your strings and instead manifest individual strings for everything. All right, we have an example of this somewhere in here. What is it? Power, or like stats. Well, I don't remember what this was. Have you worked with Arabic localization? No, I haven't. Trust Kevin more than some random stranger on the internet. I mean, Kevin was once a random stranger on the internet. Maybe you should work on Stuck in a Broken tutorial. Yeah, even numbers are different. Yeah. I think I have something here about, yeah, numbers. Okay. Yeah, I'll eventually talk about that. Where did I had some string somewhere, maybe all adventure data, where we had something about guild supplies. I don't remember. And maybe I'll just search for rogue in here or mushy or something like that. Yeah, power leveled. So we had, yeah. All right, I'll just take a picture of this. Hopefully this fits. Just click the button here. Yeah, I can find a way to make that work. Okay. I expect my name shining in lights within the credits. It's like a word cloud. Adam is like really tiny in the credits. Xyletics is right there, 3D embossed font. All right, some languages have a single form for everything. Some have 4 forms. The rules are nuts. May not even realize something should be plural in another language. Yeah. Yeah, I want to be careful about how I do. Like the order of the lessons, I think really matters. This is a generic lesson that it says right in the lesson start early, so it makes sense to kind of have it be an early lesson. Then after that, we talk about okay, we'll save translation till the end. Okay, that makes sense too. Don't translate everything at once, also pretty reasonable. Then we start talking about specific languages or specific problems you can run into. I think this is fine, but I don't think we've talked about what it means to make your code ready for localization. So I think we need to call that out and be very clear about it. Make sure we've specifically called out what it means to make your code ready for localization. It's generally finding strings to be translated, translating them, pulling in the translated strings in a way that works for all languages. This is like extract or like don't overly parameterize. And then what was the other thing I was going to say here? Oh yeah, fonts, numbers, fonts, formatting, etc. How do I claim my name Shining Lights? Only one person can. So I think you need to dual Xyletics now. There was something else I wanted to say here about this. What was it? Formatting. Oh yeah, any other like geopolitical concerns, I guess. Localizing assets like skeletons. I can't really talk about this since I didn't do this. Most translation frameworks. Well, yeah, I probably just shouldn't even include this. Probably shouldn't even include this. What do we duel in? Who can make the best oatmeal? I think pistols at dawn is a bad idea then, huh? Hmm. I think you both agree on the tournament. And then yeah, winner gets their name and shining lights in someone's credits. Maybe mine, maybe someone else's. The rogue had the mage, temperature parameters. This has hired the character class. Actually, I should probably just make this a monospace font. Okay. Placeholders are a really big problem. Yeah, it's pretty much what I'm trying to say here. And that's where I have this, like dry as for code. You saw this example, hire the rogue, hire the mage. In general, don't repeat yourself, can't be applied to localization. Resist the temptation to parameterize your strings, instead manifest individual strings for everything. And maybe I'll write a note here. In the example screenshot, I did parameterize the level numbers. So yeah, lesson number 5. Let's just keep this back here. All right, so in general, ask this question. Would a translator be able to alter the structure of the string as needed? Or like, yeah, something like this. So for example, in English, if your string is like leveled up, new level, or I don't know, like the rogue leveled up from level 1 to level 2. Well, maybe we should just take a look at this. Where is French here? Here we go. Now we should probably just always use a different language. Why not? Yeah, let me just go pull this in. Well, no, wait, we should pick something that doesn't follow the same format, right? Maybe Japanese. Yeah, Japanese is probably a good idea for this. Let's highlight these parameters here. Whoop, is that even correct? What I just picked? Yeah. So as shown, Japanese has the placeholders in a totally different location in the string. But a translator can make that call themselves. I want to give a counter example to this of where like they wouldn't have enough to be able to do this. Yeah, so maybe something like power level the archer. Yeah, so as a bad example, or as an example of what not to do. Yeah, so here in English, we would like 0 would be the string from level. Well, this is kind of dumb. So suppose you want something like, I don't know, 0, 1. I'll just come up with a sentence that's actually needed here. Yeah, in fact, we had these even in Skeleseller. I just need to think of where it was. It was when you have, what's that thing called? Shiny loot. Yeah. Oh, good, 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 good. I can get my legs back. Yes. Remind me why you didn't choose a static ID versus the string. Oh, we'll be talking about that in this video. We'll be talking about that a lot. The short answer is because it would invalidate all of the Weblate history when you change the English source string. Well, whenever you change the identifier, regardless of what it is. So if the English is the identifier and you find yourself with insufficient English, then you need to change it. All right, so somewhere here we talk about how this tooltip works. Hey, here it is. So I should probably take a picture of this in the game and show this off that way. Can you try pressing the beautify this slide just to see what it comes up with? I don't want to, just because I've never used Gemini before, or at least not knowingly, and I don't want to trigger that somehow. All right, so I want to get this tooltip. So we need to get this and this. This looks terrible. I think it's because all tabs in front doesn't do anything anymore, as they're always in front. Yeah, I have upgraded this project, so this is not great. But yeah, let's do this. Take a picture. Okay, so here's our example. So maybe we duplicate this again. Yeah. and delete all this. So as an example of what not to do, well, maybe I should include the other ways of doing this. Yeah. All right, I'll put a few of these here. Put one like that and one like this. And then you could have item stacking as well. So we click grant most things and get this and this and this. Nope, 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 nope. They took it from me. There, try taking all of those from me. Okay, so I'm going to say this is an example of how we explain the price of something. So we should put this one on the left side, or maybe put this one on top, and then say, here's when you have shiny loot, here's when you have shiny loot and item stacking. And we should probably size these to be like roughly the same. Yeah, that's good enough. I don't need these to be perfect. All right, I did want to talk about, though, how you wouldn't do this. So yeah, if we say 4G each. So here's the string that we used. Also, oh, yeah, okay. Maybe I could put this at the bottom of the slide. Well, not like that, I wouldn't. I guess we just put this here. And then shrink this, move it down to the bottom. Yeah, this still doesn't really show what I wanted to show here, which is how you shouldn't do this. I guess it's like, well, we had individual strings for this, and trying to come up with like, yeah, anywhere that you add strings. So I guess I should say this is what we ended up with. Okay, so then let's make yet another slide. And actually, I should put this back, huh? Can you put this back to how it used to be? No. Yeah, okay, so I want to just focus on this one. Hey, Omar, you look like a decent fellow. You're judging a book by its cover. If I'm not a decent fellow, welcome to the stream. So yeah, what we went with is this. But when we just had English, it looked like this. Yeah, so this is perfect because this is exactly what I want to talk about here. And we can even get the source code for what it used to look like. Where is the Scala Seller repo? Oh, there it is. All right, what file was that? Itemdata.cs. All right, history. We want to look up finished localization. It was probably for this, is my guess. Now we find item data. Is this where we did it? Yeah, we used to have all this code. Okay, how do I get that? I'll just click and drag. All right, so this is an example of what not to do. Yeah, and ignoring all this format number stuff. And I guess all of this. And then we duplicate this again. And put this blob of code in there. This isn't going to fit. Yeah, I mean, I can shrink this. Oh, it's still not going to fit. The point is not to make all this fit. It's just to show kind of how we used if statements and that this looks fine in English. Mention that this sort of thing is common to do if you don't localize it first. You build up the English specific string. Anywhere you see concatenation is an example of a place where translators may struggle. Maybe I should say is a sign that you probably didn't localize your strings well for translators. Yeah. All right. Let's go back on lesson 5 is huge, right? So DRY is for code. In lesson 4, we saw this example. In general, don't repeat yourself, can't be applied to localizations. In other words, resist the temptation to parameterize your strings and instead manifest individual strings for everything. Yeah. Freely structure themselves. Okay, great. So now what? It's another example. So here you could restructure this however you want. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. So we talked about this a little bit. Now I think we should also talk about things like pluralization. I mean, it's kind of on the don't repeat yourself. Maybe it's just other gotchas. Yeah, maybe I should talk about the don't repeat yourself thing and then certain gotchas. Yeah. I think this is a better way of doing this. Okay, so this should not be lesson 5 anymore. Let's replace this with lesson. I don't even know what. Let's just talk about this. Specific string problems with localizing. This should be its own slide over here. Change the layout to this. And I guess center this. Right there. All right, so 4A, gender. Yeah. 4B, plurals. So English has 2 plural forms. Well, it has only 2 forms, singular and plural. And then let's include this example. Simple rule 2, x is not equal to 0. Or x is not equal to 1. 0 apples, 1 apple, 2 apples. All right. Other languages have completely different rules. So, what's the easiest way to go get those rules? Hey, Godeek, thanks for the resub. Power of 2 months. Localization is such a mess if you don't bake it in early. I have a massive set of projects that have been US centric for 20 years. UIs are effectively scrapped for a rewrite. Yeah, thanks for the resub. I agree. And that's why that's lesson number one. Start the foundation early. Like, even if you don't end up localizing, I think it's as soon as you know you've actually got something on your hands. Yeah. Okay, English has only two forms. Other languages have different rules. So there's some way you can build this up. I forgot how exactly. Some like plurals thing here. Here it is. Important part of the metadata is here. This gets added when you modify a string on weblate. In other words, regardless of how you create the underlying translation file, it'll be set as soon as you edit a string. Okay, there's some weblate sample project somewhere. I just want to pull in whatever Polish uses. Here. Yeah, so oh, okay. We just got to find any project that has Polish. And then maybe Arabic. There's Arabic. All right, let's just download all the files. Hopefully these are PO files because that's what I'm looking for. There's probably an easier way to do this, but I'm choosing the expensive way. And let's just see, is Polish on this list? Yes, good. Okay. So as soon as this is done, I can examine the files and then I can copy paste this into my slides in terms of how the plurals work. There, like I said, there's almost certainly an easier way for me to figure this out, but because the Polish rules are nuts. Yeah, it's gonna take some time. All right, fine. Let's go search for plural forms. There's some repository of all of them, I think. Yeah, so this is how Polish works. I'm pretty sure. That looks like the Polish one. Oh, it's downloading it now. All right. Oh my God, this is huge. Okay, let's just cancel out of this. No, 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 no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, website. I made you produce a zip for no reason. All right, so if we go look at ENUS, no, we don't even have to do that. What, scripts.po, I think? No, over here. Yeah. So this is get text. The plural rules look like this for English. We can put this up here. So I want to get Polish, which is this one. Maybe we just want Polish. What does Arabic look like? Yeah, number of plurals is 6. Nuts. Yeah, so what's the lesson here? I guess it's this bit. Yeah, there are actually 2 lessons here. Two main takeaways. One is it can be hard to identify when something is plural in a different language. English dealt X damage. This is always correct from a plural perspective or plurality perspective. And in French, dealt 5 damage. English to French. Yeah, it's potentially, it's like points of damage. Yeah. French would typically say points of damage, which makes it plural. Yeah. You ever use smart strings? What do you mean by that? I don't think I know what that is. Now, let me make sure I'm not wrong about the French rules. Yeah, French rules are, oh no, French are different. N is greater than 1. So technically 0 is singular in French. I don't think I knew that. Huh. Oh, hey, David. Sorry, I missed your message. Oh. All right, so that's lesson number 1. And lesson number 2 is the code perspective is the same regardless. TR versus TRN. I'll talk about this more later. But basically will I even talk about it more later? As long as you use TR versus, yeah, the translate plural mechanism. You should be fine. Yep, cool. By the way, you can link things here. I don't mind searching for it in this case, but lightweight text templating library, drop-in replacement for string.format. Wait, JetBrains supporting it. Wow. I'm surprised they don't have an example right here on this page. I mean, I get that there's a wiki, but like, very simplistic example. Yeah, I think named parameters are pretty interesting because then it lets you know what you're filling in. I actually wonder if we should change what I've already done for stuck in a broken tutorial for this. Oh, the phrasing, yeah, the phrasing might be bad, but that does translate to um the same general thing, right? Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Yeah, it's like points of damage. French would use points of damage. Well, implicitly use points of damage. Which is why this lesson 3 is important. Yeah. Logic in the to string where you could do things like if one use singular, if greater than one use plural. Yeah. Yeah. I think you want to be consistent with whatever you do. So if you rely on translators having access to the like a pluralized translation, then you probably want to stick with that rather than having them learn a syntax for something. But yeah, named placeholders are actually something I never talked about in the notes that I have. And I think it would probably make things a lot better because we have a lot of strings that use a parameter. So like this, bless the entire party, making them act blank faster for blank. Like if this said efficacy for duration, I think it'd be a lot better. No worries. PG King and I appreciate the input. You don't have to apologize. Yeah, I think we should probably write this down for the next stabilization phase. Consider using named placeholders for translators. We had this in Skeleseller. We could have used, where'd that page go? This. I should probably go through my translation guide. Go through my translation guide and cover anything from there. Even just having a translation guide is important. Man, this is not, I've spent like a solid hour and I've made a handful of slides so far. This is the kind of stuff that goes in these videos I make. And I don't know. Yeah, this is why I wanted to spend some time doing this during the work week because otherwise I'm going to do all this after that time and then not feel like I'm rested. I don't even know if we can get through all of this in one day. All right, so yeah, somewhere I want to talk about placeholders. In fact, let's just go through the translation guide right now. Overview, full instructions. Consider linking it in the video. All right, what am I doing from here? Yeah, all of this stuff, I guess. Formatting, numbered placeholders. Yeah, I think I should talk about this somewhere. Numbered placeholders sometimes require context for translation. Dealt this much damage. This is usually pretty obvious, but maybe that it's a number, but maybe you want to say dealt critical damage or dealt fire damage. But then an example like this is less obvious. The first is a percentage, and the second is a duration. Yeah, I should just link to the library, I think. All right, I gotta take a break because an ad's about to start. Using a library like this. Is it jump time? It's jump time. go. Close the game. All right, so where do we put this? Or should I even do this yet? I think I should just move on to this. Built or conditional strings, yeah. So in lesson, I guess 4A, we saw this example, right? And then this now is lesson 4C, which is conditional or like built up strings, concatenated strings, maybe. Yeah. All right, so we replace that everywhere. Maybe conditional or concatenated strings. I think just built up strings is probably best. And then we move all these slides up here. Okay, great. So next up is the number or time formatting. Yeah. Number and time formatting. All right. Insert a. Actually, let's just apply that layout. There we go. So numbers, I relied on C#, e.g. something colon n. Let's just freeze. There we go. Yeah, here we go. Something like this. The N0 will automatically add separators per the user's locale. So in the US, 1 million would be 1000000. But in Germany, it would be. I don't actually know what German people do for this. So let's go find out. Can we just type this in like this? Yeah, with dots. Okay. Let me just double check that. German number separators. What did numbers use commas as decimal and dots as thousand separators? Yeah, yeah, okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Time. I wrote simple. We didn't have extensive needs here in Scala so I just manifested each duration, each like duration class as a string. Time formatting, number formatting. So there's some formatting. There it is. Yeah, durations. And something like this. Yeah. So annoying getting used to the swapped ones. Yeah. When you glance at a number like this, it's very easy for me to see this as 1 million. If I were to glance at a number that had something like this written out, which I don't know what locale does this at all, I'd be like, I have no idea what that number is. Is it supposed to be 10 and that's a decimal place? Is it supposed to be 1,000 and they just put their comma in a different spot? Yeah, Wait, that's not German for. Oh, this is German for 10. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I was reading line 4. Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah, and that would be confusing. So you wouldn't know for sure what it represents unless you know the locale as well. I might as well include the last one if we're going to do this. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Even though we're like that, and it's like, oh, this person just vomited on their keyboard. Okay, I think that's good. And then in general, dry versus wet. Yeah, yeah. Would a translator be able to alter the structure of the string as needed? Yeah. For conditional strings, lesson 4C, this is generally not possible. That's why I manifested 4 strings, 4 separate strings. There were 2 Boolean conditions involved. All right. Now, if I search for lesson in here, did I always put a number sign? Yes. Yeah, okay. One comma 0000. Yeah. Hey noob. It's interesting to learn about that stuff. I would not want to be in a setting where I need to like constantly remember, okay, who's the speaker, who's the writer for this. I don't even know how much anyone needs to know that nowadays with how much technology is probably involved. I'm new here. What's this game? This is Google Slides, Volume 2. It's the sequel to Google Slides 1. Yeah, we're just doing video prep for a localization video I wanted to cover. All right, make sure you specifically called out what it means to make your code ready for localization. Hmm. Yeah, I think this would go up there. You've done everything magnificently. There's still a lot of context you need. Oh man. Okay, yeah, let's go talk about that next. Oh wow. Changing any standard due to tech is kind of crazy because like in the US we haven't changed to the metric system. Actually, something I just thought of, I'm sure other people have thought of this already, but if the US ever did change to the metric system, every single speed limit sign would need to change, or else you wouldn't know how fast you should be going. Or maybe they'd change in such a way that like the new signs would say kilometers per hour or something on it, or be in a different color, and mile markers. Yeah, try a lot of signage would need to change. Any like this bridge is this many feet high would also need to change. All right, so we've talked about this. Oh, talked about this. We talked about this. this, and this. Yeah, now about getting things ready for localization. So at a high level, you need to perform these steps. Find strings in code, translate those strings, use them accordingly. All right, so let's change the structure of this. First 5 lessons are general. Start foundation early. Don't translate everything at once. Specific string problems with localizing. But they could be for any game. Okay, so now code base ready for localization. All right, so non-code base specific lessons. Talk about some of these, or maybe maybe we don't even need something here. We already had an intro. Let's just delete this. Hey, neural net. People would be, but it said 80. It said 8 comma 0 0 0 0 0 0. Like what? Those dang speed limit signs trying to get me to go warp speed. All right, yeah, all right. Let's write this down. So there are a few high levels. Why is a banana icon used everywhere? I don't understand that. There's got to be something more to that. High level steps. Find strings in your code that need to be localized. Translate those strings. And then use the translated strings. All right, so I think the first thing we should focus on is the using the translated strings, because this is dead simple. Yeah. So I'm going to highlight this. All right, so lesson number 6, use tr, trn, translate, and translate n in Godot. I guess we could turn these into code. And then can we increase the sizes back to what it was? No, we can't. Didn't do it from the beginning. It'll be fun. Yeah. My God, it's just not a fun process at all. It's so bad. All right, so the code for this is really, really simple. Let's just go find any example of this. Yeah, maybe that. That's decent. Wait, there's more to it than this. Right? I guess scene files for scripts. String translated text equals tr. Your text goes here. And optional context. E.g. string fireball name equals tr. Spell fireball. Spells. Examples. String fireball name equals tr. Fireball. Yeah. Okay. Godot will search through registered translation files based on the player's locale. and find the correct string, falling back to the language of your choosing. Yeah, unknown. What's your fallback for missing entries? For us, it's English. One of the first programming challenges I give to new devs to see where they are is numbers to words. Simply stated, in C#, take a decimal data value and output it as text as written in a book. Hundreds of missing scale factors is non-trivial. Yeah. Do I use a teleprompter? No, I don't. I end up, the way I make my videos look a little bit more polished is just a lot of practice. And in cases like this, I don't mind reading off the slides. Like, if this were a totally like perfect presentation that I were trying to do, I would cut down a lot of the text on here. But for dense material like this, where it's delivered in a video and people could just pause the video and then like read the slide, I think it's nice to have the extra text. But yeah, I don't know. I just want to like get this video out there. Have you seen the Elgato prompter? No. Huh. It's actually slightly cheaper than I would have expected. Yeah, interesting. Just a mirror over a screen, pretty much, that your camera can look through. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to start using a prompter. I also don't make that many pre-recorded videos. A lot of what I do is live, where I'm just fed my lines via earpiece. Xyletics is telling me what to say. And every once in a while, Xyletics is the best. He'll just throw in some extra text, and I'm like, well, it's on the teleprompter. I should probably just read it. Okay, yeah. Search through registered translation files based on the player's locale and find the correct string, falling back to the language of your choosing. In other words, just use TR and TRN and you'll be fine. For scenes, it essentially, this is stupid. I can't just say it does this under the hood. I should probably show how this works. So this is kind of stupid because I'm overly simplifying this. There is slightly more you have to do. You have to go into project settings and go to localization and make sure your translation files are registered. And then you need to set your locale and your fallback language. Yeah, fallback. And weirdly, they don't have, that's strange. Where's my current language? Huh, I thought it was an option you could set here. I guess the editor probably pulls it in. Demo light. That was fast 4 months. Thanks for the resub. These things are front of mind for me. Do you ever storyboard your videos? I tend to make an outline. So in this case, I wrote out my entire outline, and then I tend to make the slides for it, and then I tend to record the video. This video in totality will have been like 15 plus hours of work probably. Because on top of this, I also, anyway, it just doesn't matter. Yeah, it's going to take a lot of work, like slowly working through even this stuff. But I spent a lot of time writing the script for this. I spent a lot of time writing the notes. Now we're trying to make some of the slides. Yeah, I don't think I can focus on this. Use the translated strings. Ugh. All right, let's delete this slide. So then let's start at the beginning. So yeah, high level steps. Find strings in your code that need to be localized, translate those strings, and then use the translated strings. So then I want to duplicate this and highlight this in blue. So finding strings in your code. Godot can now do this. Oh my God. Yeah, this PR. Ever since PR 99195. I should show off this process too. God, this video is never getting done. I just I just know it. No, it's gonna get done, but it's gonna take a long time still. Like what I should do is I should demo this stuff. So I should make some new project here and call it like localization video. Yeah, just upload the whole stream. Yeah. One off, select current folder. Looks good. Do we need Git? I don't even care. Whatever, create. All right. So the way you do this, so let's say we have a scene and a script, and it's got to be C# because that's what I'm talking about here. And we call this, I don't know, main. And then we save this as main, and then we run this. So nothing's going to happen. It's going to be a gray screen. But now I go fill this out, and I print out. Oh, it's trying to load. It just doesn't. Oh, interesting. Trust and open new window. I think this opened twice. No, maybe it didn't. No, it only opened once. Okay, good. Yeah, so we just do a g.print hello world. And we don't need system here apparently. And we do need a namespace. All right, looks pretty good. So now when we run this, we'll see hello world print out at the bottom. Probably it'd be easier to show this in a label here. And just make this gigantic. Font size 40. All right. Set via code. Okay, so now what we can do is label equals get node label.text equals this. All right. I was like, it's the other ways of doing it. Yeah, I think this video is going to help a lot of people. Be going into the process or workflow of acquiring and reviewing translations. I will talk about how I got translators, but in terms of reviewing, I did not. It was pretty much just trust. How I vetted the translations. I essentially didn't. I don't really speak any of the languages that we translated to. I Google translated a few strings just to make sure people weren't doing anything subversive. Character caps for specific translations? Like for truncation and everything? I guess I verified that, yeah. I did make sure that text didn't overflow containers. You don't need to speak another language to do that. Looks like a tutorial on how to get translation in the game. It's close to. It's more like the lessons I learned and kind of general information. Like one of the things I'm going to probably talk about a lot in this is weblate, but I don't want to give a tutorial on how to set weblate up. I will probably just say like, look, here's the documentation. So if you do want to set it up, that's how you can do it, or you can pay for a hosted instance. So some of this will be a tutorial. Some of it will be just okay, well, look, we're glossing over this part. So this video isn't like 40 minutes long. All right, so the way we would show this off is by registering this into the localization files here. So we add, no, wait, that's not how we do this. How do you do this again? Template generation, there we go. Add the file here and then hit generate and call this something like scripts. You have to type out .pot, okay. So we save that and it should just be there now. So if I go to file system, we should see, there it is. And there we have it, localization video. So now what I can do is I can change this to a TR. and then go run that again. And now we should see that string appear over here. Yeah, so this is what I need to show in the video. It's going to be tedious. Demo of collecting strings from C#. How about we start with, it's not find strings in your code, find strings in your game. So finding strings in your game consists, well, a Godot game consists of scenes and scripts. Why is tabbing this in not working? Oh, it's pressing enter twice. We need to find strings in both. Scenes, demo of finding strings in scenes. And I'll just demo them both. Yeah. Okay, but then for scripts in particular, Godot can find strings ever since PR, whatever, but I still use getText, xgetText on Mac OS. That's the only difference, right? Oh, xgetText is the utility program. Okay, so I just use this. And I have my reasoning in here. Okay, the reason why Godot's functionality isn't configurable. I should probably talk about the caching. Oh my god. Just making the slides and the content for this video is honestly, it's going to be another like 3 hours, I think. And then recording the video is probably going to take 2 or 3. And then editing it. Geesh. I could speak Spanish in the video. That'd be pretty funny. I have wrapper functions. I guess like it only finds Godot specific translation calls like tr. You need to manifest each script with translated strings, which uses, that's the clearest language there. And then what else? And then scripts and scenes are outputted to the same .pot file. So I should probably talk about xgetText at some point, right? And I should probably also talk about these cache translation things. Good God. Need to talk about my caching layer that I used for performance to avoid allocations. Some UI text may update. Well, I mean, the real solution is probably just to update strings only when needed, but that's not always practical. I just showed this in the demo. So I use xgetText. Can I share how I used it? Like this. Oh my God. Oh, this process is not going to be easy to explain. because it's not just xget text, so I probably should show this off. But this got even more complex for the new game. I have an entire localization tool that does a million different things. This isn't the right thing. Here it is. Localization tool. Yeah. Wait, using directive is not required by the code. Huh, that's strange. Why isn't it auto-deleting it? Huh, that's very strange. Hold on a second. Is this even auto-formatting? Okay, it's doing that. And it just did delete it. So apparently when I type a space up here, it doesn't consider that to be a big enough change. Okay, well, yeah, so this entire file just got formatted. That's not the file. Here it is. Yeah, wow, that did quite a lot. Alrighty. Well, let's move on from that one then. Yeah. Are you going to get into why get text is even a thing? Mm, I think the point is getting these strings into .pot files. So yeah, maybe I should just focus on that. Find strings in your game that need to be localized. So need to mention in the demo that the goal is to get .csv or .pot files. And ideally in a way that doesn't require you to keep them up to date by hand. Actually, you know what? Yeah. So like if you're ever tempted to make a spreadsheet, and I guess you could then host the CSV thing in a template. Yeah, we should probably just say that. So translate those strings. So let's go put this now down here and make this one blue. So yeah, once you have a .po, once you have a .pot file or a .csv file, how about this? Once you have the produces these translation files, don't I need to tell Godot to use this now? Yeah, which I wouldn't have even made a translation. So this idea of like collect the strings is only the first bit. Feel like me called out. Gotta rename yourself to Demonstration Light. Rather give what you found to be best and give the other things an honorable mention with documentation links. I think I'm only going to end up talking about like two different things here. Like here's how you do it in Godot, and that's probably sufficient for very small games. And I should probably write this down. You could just host a spreadsheet. So at this point, the simplest way forward is to take the .csv file that Godot can produce and host it as and like convert it to a spreadsheet for translators to change as they wish. The simplest way forward, take that Godot and convert it into a spreadsheet for translators to change. Then you would export back to a CSV and use, yeah. Actually, that's it. That's pretty much the whole thing. However, I only suggest this for small games, like less than 1,000 strings or fewer than 1,000 strings. Actually, not even 1,000 strings, like fewer than 1,000 words probably. Because Skeleseller was 10,000 words. For larger projects or for larger games, you're better served by a translation platform. Oh, I should also put this in the intro. None of this is sponsored. Yeah. Days on all of this and want to save other people time. Yeah, there we go. What unknown? This is specifically for games. Yeah. Okay. Where are we at now? All right, so high level says find strings in your game that need to be localized, translate those strings, use the translated strings. All right, so demo both of these. For scripts in particular, so use xget text. So I should probably talk about how I use it, but it requires using message merge as well. Using xget text isn't really in the scope of this video. Yeah, maybe I just leave it at that. But in short, you call it with a bunch of arguments, and then you use message init and message merge. It's really actually need a suite of tools. Xget text, message init, and message merge. And there are some caveats. Too technical. Okay, yeah, let's just leave it at that. Do you provide a context of translated strings where needed for the translators? Yeah. And I should definitely talk about that. Translate those strings. So providing context on web late and via code. Xget text are just another means of getting strings from your code into a .pot or .csv, well, into a .pot file. I don't think xget text can output to CSV, can it? Yeah, no, I don't think so. Did they mention on that page I just had open about message merge? They do. Do they mention message init? Yes, they do. Okay, great. Yeah. Godot has documentation on this if you want to find out more. Yeah, it is just regular daunting at that point. Also, localization is something that most people, I do think, take for granted. If you're a player and a game is not in your language or it's not perfectly in your language, you don't necessarily know that the person spent like a month getting set up to the point where they even could have it in your language, and then they paid a translator, some number of dollars per, well, not dollars per word, cents per word. Like, the Japanese translation for Skeletor wasn't cheap. And I don't know if we recouped that money because I really haven't been looking at sales figures that much. But yeah, if a Japanese player played and was like, well, this string isn't the best, I'd be like, I don't know. I'm an indie developer. I don't speak Japanese. Oh, your base belong to us. Yeah, I just repeated that string like 400 times. Somebody set up us the bomb. Is it set up us the bomb or set us up the bomb? Set up us the bomb. Yeah. And hey, Bananatron. Okay, so high level steps. Translate those strings. At this point, you've collected the strings to be translated. Simplest path forward is to take the CSV files. Oh, how about this? Is to convert that file to a spreadsheet for translators to start translating. Only suggest this for small games. Okay, yeah. So now I think it's time to talk about Weblate. Yeah. Hey, Crow. Any thoughts on including an API for community translations? Many games have community translations to Chinese or Russian, for example. Yeah, that's what I'm pretty much about to talk about here, which is like using Weblate as your translation platform. So Weblate as a translation platform. So note this is not a tutorial. I used Weblate. The Skeleseller instance is public. All right. I self-host it, so it's free for me. You can pay for a hosted instance. What else? Oh yeah, have instructions in my notes for how to do this. I mean, having the community make an official translation. Many games, though thinking about it, they mostly have a modding API. Also have mods that translate the game to unsupported languages. I think I see what you mean. Yeah, I don't think that'd be too hard once you're already supporting several languages. Because like for us, the only difference would be the font. We'd need to actually add some strings to the game, probably. Like we modify, might add a font, might add someone to the credits, which I guess you wouldn't have to do in this case because the mod would have credits. And then obviously like provide other translation files. And then add the language to the settings menu. So it's not too bad in terms of once you already have like 5 languages, adding a 6th should be pretty simple. But I think most games will never get to the point where anyone even wants to write a mod for them. Is one of the other problems with localization is like you set up the foundation in advance hoping that your game will need it. But a lot of games won't have that many customers. So like yeah, it's just tough. Yeah. Anyway, I want to talk about some of the features here. Oh yeah, the workflow. Overall flow. I made a translation specific GitHub repo. or like GitHub. And then I connected Weblate and my game to it. Weblate reads and writes strings. I should say git repo. Translators use Weblate to translate, and then Weblate communicates with Git so that I can simply pull in the updated strings. Well, it's not even just that, but also like push new strings. New strings to be translated or pull in newly translated strings. Yeah. Probably going to reuse a bunch. Any that I can, yes, for sure. I like settings. Yeah, there's a settings menu, back to game, title screen, quick game. These are all things that are common that pretty much every game could reuse because they're just not that specific. But then we translated a whole lot of specific stuff. So like, will the word fireball appear in the game? Probably not, even if a fireball does. Because like in Skeleseller, you needed to see what the abilities do. So you'd go and look at a skill and you'd be like, oh, fireball. Okay, hurls a fireball at the enemy. Like we might not have UI like this in the new game. So yeah, where we can, we'll try to reuse stuff. But I don't know how often we'll be able to. Yeah, pretty much just menus like this, I guess. Yeah. I don't think there'll be a lot of opportunities. I should say publicly viewable. Fireball is a magic spell, might not be the same. Yeah. But I mean, I'd know what the context is across my games, right? So like, if I knew it was the same fireball, it'd be okay. Will translators in the new game get access to translations from Skeleseller? They might find it helpful. But the translations from Skeleseller are just 100% public. So like anyone watching this stream right now could just go to this page and look at any of the translations, download all the files. They just can't modify the translations. And actually, the new game is already on here. So like I set this up already. There's nothing really here. I mean, there's very little. Like there's some dialogue. All right, so this is the overall flow. I want to do a quick demo of Weblate just to show what some of the features are. I want to talk about, well, like demo the platform to show off some features. And the demo, maybe we should just include something that has a screenshot. Problem is, I don't know where those screenshots are. There's some way to find them. Maybe here. Is it in this? Oh, come on. There's some like screenshots page. I don't know where it is. Man. Yeah, I don't know where it is. I I've gotten to it before. Update screenshots page. Screenshots. You can upload a screenshot. Where do you find this? Managing screenshots. Here we go. In the translate page, screenshots attached. Screenshot listing summarizes uploaded ones. Where's that? Operations menu. Am I just not seeing it here? Host, users, fonts, labels, suggestions, backups, add-ons, settings. Is it in a component? Oh, there it is. Thought I looked there already. Yeah, so like this is a good example of where's the string? Here. And then let's go to other languages and go to like French, for example. All right. Start from here. So I want to talk about screenshots. Maybe something with plurals as well. How would we find one with plurals? I guess the easiest way is just search the code. Yeah. There, battle panel tab. This location only allows blah, blah, blah. All right, so web late. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah. Plural UI. Oh, what else do we want to show off? Comments, nearby strings. Nearby strings. Just like a login / account system with permissions. Yeah, there's a lot here. All right, so where are we at now? Where are we at with this behemoth of a video? So translate those strings. So yeah, they would do. Wait, did this get messed up? It did get messed up. Yeah, this is supposed to go up there. All right, so translate those strings. At this point, you've collected the strings. Simplest path forward is a spreadsheet, but I should just weblate. Here's all about weblate. Here's a demo of weblate. And then anything else I want to talk about with this? There's that caveat with weblate of don't use English as your source strings, which is probably a good idea no matter what. But I need to talk about this. So I don't know, maybe we say this is like lesson number 6. Don't use English to identify strings. Okay, so for Skeleseller, we frequently had TR calls like this. Da, 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 yeah. So like this bit right here. Okay, this was stupid. Let me just copy it and do that. This is going to be tabbed incorrectly, but I don't care. All right, that's good enough. Wait, just delete the trailing comma. Yeah, let's just get rid of all this too. There. As shown, the English translation is the identifier. Here's the .po entry for French. We don't probably need to show this. This was a major problem with weblate. If we ever decided, yeah, if we ever changed a string, weblate would lose all context, history, comments, etc. Going forward with my new game, I'm going to treat, I would have manifest, yeah, I would treat English as just another translation. So that string would have been manifested like this. TR error elite fight once. That identifier is unlikely to ever change. We would be able to update the English text freely without breaking other languages. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna skip this next break. So an ad's gonna run in like 50 seconds, and I'm just gonna run it now. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I'm just gonna keep barreling through this because I want to do a little bit longer, and then I'll probably end the stream after like 30, 45 minutes. I just want to get as much of this stuff done as I can. Because ideally, when I finally sit down to record this video, I can just click this, read my slide that I'm on, and say like, okay, I know what I'm going to talk about. I know what I'm going to demo. There's still going to be some more work that goes into it than that. But yeah. Okay. So we haven't talked about any of this stuff. All right, so where do we leave off though? Now use the translated strings. I think that's where we're at next. Okay, so at this point, you should have a translated .csv or PO file. To recap so far, at this point, you would have extracted the strings from your scenes and scripts. Translators would have produced would have produced like localized text. Well, just translators would have translated, yeah, all of that text. You would now have this would reside in, yeah, this CSV or files. Okay, so now you now have to feed the translated text back into the game. So I think we just do a demo of this, which is all you pretty much do is go into project settings and then translations, add a translation, and you're pretty much done. This is very easy. Demo this. Yeah, so I think we're finished there. So this is all finished. Yeah, then validating what they've done. Okay, so let's talk about that next. Lesson number 7, validate translations. Okay, so everybody makes mistakes. It's best to verify translations actually work. Two categories of verifications. Category one, verifications you can do without understanding the language. Is text truncated? Do any translations cause exceptions to be thrown? Is any formatting broken? Category two, verifications that require speaking the language or understanding the language. For this, I suggest getting playtesters in those languages. I don't have, yeah, I mean, find them however you'd find them, right? Yeah. This is one unique part of game dev in that you can't typically validate every language yourself. Yeah. Okay, so we talked about this, and that means that we've also kind of talked about this, vetting translators. Yeah. And maybe I'm not exactly sure what to say here. Like, vet your translators. Finding translators. So, like, translators typically charge X cents per word. And if you're hiring them, it usually means you can't validate their work. My flow for vetting people was look through their past translation history, go on Steam, or like confirm through Let's Play videos that their name appears in the credits of the game, and then look through Steam reviews scoped to that specific language to see if anyone complained about lack of clarity, anything, I guess, translation specific, lack of clarity, poor translation, etc. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I did have a Russian translator reach out to me and they said, "Hey, I worked on these like 6 games or something." And I found a Let's Play video on YouTube that showed the credits. And this person's name was not in the credits. And I was like, "Well, they show the other languages that are there. Like, isn't that weird?" And they're like, "Oh, you're going to go make me play this game to get to the credits to show you for myself." And I'm like, "I wouldn't trust you if you did that. That doesn't help me at all. Like, here's a third party, some random Let's Player on YouTube who already went through this. Like, the whole reason I'm doing this is because you're some random stranger on the internet who's asking me for money to translate to Russian. And like, maybe they were trustworthy. I'll never know. But yeah, I'm not going to just randomly fork over some money to somebody for them to like run something through Google Translate or use AI or just not even provide any service in the first place." And then I suggest setting up contracts so that you only pay after, or like such that you pay half X% of the money at the halfway mark and the rest upon completion. And there was something else I wanted to mention about this. Oh yeah, after your game launch, you'll get tons of localization offers via email. Yeah, maybe I'll put that at the beginning. Yeah. They couldn't come up with even one example out of the six they said they worked on. Well, one of their other things that they said was like, oh, hey, if you go message this other person, they can confirm that I worked on their game. And I was like, yeah, I can, but there are no reviews in Russian for their game. So I don't know if your translation was good. Right. And then I don't know. At that point, there was enough back and forth over enough days because presumably they were in Russia. So our time zone difference is large enough where it was like I'd send a message and then we kind of had to wait a day to get that message resolved. So I think we were both just kind of sick of it. And if they were legit, I get why I would be frustrating. Actually, no matter what, I get why I would be frustrating. If they were not legit, then it's like, well, I didn't fall for it. And if they were legit, they're like, I can't prove to this person that I'm a legitimate translator. Yeah. But yeah, one of the other things, and this video isn't going to talk about it because it's just localization. But yeah, when I launched Skeleteller, actually before I even launched it, so I was on the popular upcoming page on Steam, which I think is going to be almost impossible for indie devs to do now because I think they made a change that you need like 60,000 wish lists to be on that. But anyway, I was on popular upcoming, and there are lots and lots of people out there I've realized who they go on Steam and they scroll down to popular upcoming and they go email this person and this person and this person and this person, and that's all they do. They're just like, do you need translation, do you need localization, or they're marketing, do you need PR, do you need advertisement, do you need whatever else? So yeah, this is, I got swamped by a bunch of emails. Some were for localization, some were for PR. A ton of them, the largest category was from influencers, they weren't even the real person, who were like, oh, can you give me a key or two to play on my channel? And I shared some of these messages on Discord that these channels are not real channels. And it is so bizarre because I felt like I was uncovering some like low stakes crime ring going on. I'd go to the Twitch channel. They would have like 10,000 followers or something, which you're like, okay, that's pretty reasonable, right? You'd look at their viewership, it seemed pretty reasonable. Then you watch, they always have like one VOD, just one. And I think they only have one so that you can't see if the voice is the same across VODs. And it's a real person playing the game, but none of the chat lines up with what they're doing. So imagine if right now I was just streaming myself doing this, right? And you're like, oh, nice headshot you just did. Or like, wow, you got so lucky there. And it's like, what? Like, that's not happening on screen right now. It was, oh man, it's just so nuts. And there are probably a lot of people who just do the bare bones investigation into them. Like they'll go to a Twitch channel or something and be like, oh yeah, that's a person and they're streaming right now. That's good enough for me. They don't like see, does the chat line up? Do they stream regularly? How did they get their followers? So yeah, I had to ignore all of those people. I gave one key out through the ambassador system or whatever it's called, Steam curators, and I never heard back from that person. I didn't even follow up to see if they played the game because they don't have a way of selling that key as far as I know. And honestly, even if they did, it's like, okay, fine, one key got by. But yeah, just making the game's nuts. All right, so I've got that here. What do we have for this? Yeah, I'll just delete this. Where's delete? Okay, so what haven't we talked about? Line numbers in the PO and POT files. I think I probably should keep this at a sort of beginner level. So I think this is probably kind of bad to mention. I don't think we're going to mention this. And in fact, I think we should do another pass. Make sure this video is like relatively good for beginners. All right, mention RTL languages. Maybe I'll have a miscellaneous section at the end. Right to left languages. So I don't have any experience here, but none of the prior content is affected by having right to left languages. you would still need to collect strings, translate them, and then use them in your game. Your UI would probably have to change. Godot has some functionality for this. Check out their documentation. Godot, right to left languages. I'm pretty sure they have something on here. Yeah, here it is. Right to left. Yep, bidirectional text, UI mirroring. Here we go. I'll just put a link there. What do you say the next step was? Next step is ask them for game keys. This is what I find a little bit crazy about this too, is like they must email enough people where if they ask me for Steam keys and I send over 5, right? So Skeleseller costs $8 US right now. So I'm sending them roughly $40. They can't charge $8 because you just buy it legitimately at that point. So they charge what, 25 or something for this? Now I get it. You just sent an email and you got back $25 through gray market resales. But like you have to send a lot of these emails to actually make a decent amount of money. Cuz yeah, how many people are going to just randomly give out keys? Maybe it's more than I think and that's why there are so many emails being sent out. Or maybe it's the same spammer sending from like 7 different addresses. Because it's not just the 25, like they must have set up these fake channels too. Or maybe they don't. Maybe there's just like known fake channels and they don't do it themselves. I don't know. The whole thing's a mess. Wonder if there's some collab opportunity. I think if you could get an actual person on the line, there might be. But yeah, that's an interesting thought. Yeah. All right, so we talked about this. AI translations, I feel like I should talk about. So for Skeleseller, every single string went through a human. I did start with LLM translations at first. In some cases, the translator said they were just a distraction. In many cases, the LLM came up with the correct string the first time. This is especially true for like generic, common, or yeah. Well, I don't need to write anything else there. So I don't know, like make up your own mind about this. Honestly, I wonder if it's gotten even better. Like, you know what I should test at some point? Oh, I don't really care to put in the amount of time to do this, but we now have handwritten Spanish for every string in the game, right? In Skeleseller. I could just give an AI the English and say, translate all this to Spanish, keeping in mind this, this, and this. And maybe we pull in some like unique words that are there that we tell it what they are and just see, does it come up with pretty much the same stuff? It probably wouldn't, but I wonder how much it would align. Is it going to be like 80% correct, 90% correct? Yeah. There was something I wanted to mention for this. What was it? I don't remember. I don't remember. Mention how numbered placeholders sometimes require context for translation. Yeah, I think this is pretty easy. Let me put this here. Okay, and maybe we even put a slide. Well, yeah, maybe we put this over here. You can add screenshots or type arbitrary text. And via code, you can configure, I think it's best to just do it on Weblate. But yeah, you can configure your tooling to pull in nearby comments that start with IETN. And TR natively supports a second context string. This is suboptimal compared to having a, yeah. I suggest adding context on Weblate since it can contain screenshots. Anyone could update it or ask about it. This is why lesson, what was the lesson? Lesson number 6. So important. So we put it over here. Don't use English as your identifiers. Cool. All right, placeholders. Let's talk about those. Placeholders in C#. So the normal, do named placeholders exist in C#? I don't think they do, right? No, smart format. Okay, yeah. C# has numbered placeholders by default, e.g. console.write. Well, I'll just put gd.print. Dealt that much damage. I'll just do it like that. This can be difficult for translators. This should probably go next to the providing context thing. Yeah. And then I have an example string here. Do we have anything else? Yeah, I'll use this string. This isn't gonna work. No, oh my God. I can't use Control C or Command C because of how Weblate overrides it. Okay. If you want to use named parameters, look at something like smart format. It had to appear literally in the TR string that you have though, right? Library like smart format. Let me just double check how this would work. So you would do this, right? TR. And then the translator would not translate library. No, this wouldn't even work, would it? Oh, I didn't even, oh my God. I didn't think of how you'd have parameters in identified strings like this. Like we have TR, elite description. I guess we'd have to put 0, 1 in here or something like that. Anna, honey. Welcome in. I'm going to call it a day. Enjoy the rest of the stream. Have a lovely weekend. Take care, Unknown. Thanks for being here. Hope you have a good weekend too. I mentioned this, but for next week, I very likely am going to be on jury duty at some point as early as Wednesday. I just really hope it doesn't happen though. So yeah, the schedule might be thrown upside down and there's pretty much nothing I can do about it. But we'll find out on Tuesday, I think. Or I don't know. Yeah, I think we'll find out on Tuesday. Is the game you're working on an idle game? No, no. The game I was working on was kind of an idle game. That was Skeleseller. But this has been launched now. Now the new game I'm working on is called Stuck in a Broken Tutorial, and it's not an idle game. Cat is meowing. It's like an hour ahead of her food time. Very active idle game. Yeah. I should mark it as a non-idle game. Yeah, I never thought about this. I should probably put some thought into this. We have some TR calls. So if we want to allow parameterizing this, we need to plug those in. Yeah, I guess you just plug them in afterward, right? Shouldn't make a difference. No, wait a second, but then the number of parameters could change. Uh-oh, I didn't think about that at all. What's the new game I'm working on? It's called Stuck in a Broken Tutorial. I've got a little FAQ there if you want to take a look. It should print out in a second. There we go. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I need to put some more thought into this. Oh, man. As I said, this stuff before the end of the day, that's not going to happen. Figure out how we're supposed to use identifiers for translated strings, but still allow for parameters. So like tr, foo, bar, baz, 0. This is fine, but it means that if we change the name or number of the parameters, that there would be a problem. Yeah, actually, I don't know what we would do for this. I think we just use 0 everywhere and 1, and then just put it in the context in the translation. Yeah, I think that would make more sense. Because what I'd be concerned about is this. You have a string that says something like purchased item and then amount. And you're like, oh, you know what? How about instead of amount, we change this to cost? And it's like, well, you just invalidated your identifier. But I guess that's reason why you shouldn't do that. Hey, Veshak, have you looked at fluent.net? It's a portable localization thing from Mozilla. No, I haven't. Yeah, let me take a look. There's some special like language for it. Fully working sample project. I just want to see what they. Interesting. You can always add context on your translation platform. I do kind of want to test this out. Because, yeah, we have a bunch of these sorts of things. Yeah, like this. So we would change this string. I guess we just change this to translate to something like power level description 0. Maybe even put the -0 there. We'd have to test it and make sure it goes through WebLake correctly. Should I just do this now? I should just do this now. Yeah. It came up now. All right, fine. Temp, WebLate, Docker, compose, up. All right, let that run. And then we go test this out over here somewhere. Now let's just go to main.cs and make a change. So we'll just do gd.print tr test with params 0. And then we need to string.format this to actually have a parameter here. Let's say the number 5. All right, so if I run this, what does it say? Specify. Oh, okay, I don't care about that. If I run this, it should say test with params -5, I think. Yeah, which is nice. Now we got to do a bunch of things. We got to run the localization tool. That is going to create a file that's got a translation in it. I guess I don't really need to test this on WebLate. I probably should. And then I go into the English file that we have. Yeah, test with param. So I delete the fuzzy part here and I say, you dealt this much damage. And now when I run this, it should say you dealt 5 damage. Yeah. What if you need a translated parameter? Then you just pass that in the second part of that. So if you need a translated parameter, you do another tr over here and pass in some other thing that you need. So yeah, some like, I don't know, elemental damage type or something like that. Yeah, so this works. We could do this. If we were to replace it with, yeah, I guess this should just work no matter what. Yeah, so I should probably just write a note about that. Write a note about translating identifiers with parameters. Test with params 0. This is totally fine to use. I didn't test it on WebLate though. All right, so we can just delete that. We can delete all the translations that I just did. Just roll all these back. Yeah. And wait, why does main still have a change? Oh, it deleted a named parameter. And marked this orange for some reason, but not over in the old code. Probably just doesn't lint the old code. Yeah, this is fine. We could just revert the whole thing actually. It doesn't really matter. All right. So back to the slides for a bit. So this is done. What else? A string saying increase the duration of this. Supposed to have 2 strings. All you're going to do is upload a screenshot. I don't think we need that. Steam needs to be localized as well. Didn't localize screenshots or achievements. Or I'll just write it down somewhere. In fact, maybe I'll start like a miscellaneous section. All right, Steam translations. Okay, so the main areas you could localize: the store page, achievements. Yeah, I think that's it. Is there anywhere else you could even localize on Steam? There's like the startup options for your game. Maybe it's not worth even listing these out. Maybe store page text, store page trailer, and screenshots and achievements. So I only opted to localize the store, the text on my Steam page. I haven't heard any complaints about not translating achievements, which I'm slightly surprised by, to be honest. And it would have been too much work to take screenshots of each UI in each language. If I had taken the time to automate this, it may have increased sales. Out of curiosity, though, and I think I've done this before, but if I go to Terraria and just switch it to whatever, French even, and then we just look at the UI and the trailer and everything, like, are these localized? This keeps happening to me on the Steam player for some reason. No, these are not localized. And are the screenshots? No, no, no. I see some text up here. No, no, none of this is localized. So I assume the Terraria is in French. It's too big a game not to be, right? Yeah. But they didn't even localize their Steam page. Now, did they localize the achievements? No. wait. No. This is in English again. We got to change this. No, they didn't localize this either. All right, so now let's take Factorio. I only want to look at a few games here, just like massive selling games. And then we change this to French. I'm already in French. Oh, maybe it was translating back automatically. Well, it couldn't have done that for the screenshots. So let's look at the trailer really fast. Any text? No, the only text is here. So there's nothing that needed to be localized in their trailer. They don't ever show UI. They got very successful in the software game market. Well, that's why I wanted to check something that was a little bit more recent. This is 2020. Maybe we should check something even more recent. But they didn't localize. They didn't need to localize this. They don't have any text in any of the screenshots. Huh. Also, they have a lot of screenshots. All right, so what's a game we could look at that came out in the last like 3 years and was huge? Maybe Silksong. All right, any text in here? What did that say? Whoa. Hunter's March, the Marrow. So this is not localized map. Yeah, I don't think they localized their trailer. I don't know if they have any text outside of that. Yeah, I think they were maybe just smart enough to not show any of the text. But then what about the achievements? Okay, this was translated. So I think if you're going to localize anything, localize your store page, then your achievements, then your trailer and screenshots. Yeah, okay. I think that's fine. So we're done with that. This we don't need to say here. This is probably pretty important. Do I have other things here? Fonts. Yeah, so fonts and allowing them to test this. That's why I got to write this in. All right, I'll just link to this. Yeah. Allowing translators to test translations in game. I wrote a utility for this. I wrote a utility for this. I then distributed a custom build to translators, and they could use command line arguments to specify up to date translation files. Yeah, and this is not helpful for anyone reading this, but the thing that would be helpful is just linking to the note, which is here. I wrote notes about this whole process, including some code here. I know that's a long link. Just search notes.adamlearns.com for runtime. I don't know, just for Godot translation. Does that even work though? Yeah, it does. I wonder if I should move away from this. I have not been using this domain in a long time for anything actually on the web. In fact, I should just take this web page down completely. I just haven't taken the time to do it. Well, my name on Twitch is still Adam Learns. It's a past era. 6 years ago now at this point. Not an excuse. Just delete it all. All right, so this is done. And then caching, I don't think we should talk about that too much. And fonts. So the way rendering characters works in Godot is it will try using the specified font to render a glyph. If that doesn't work, it will fall back to another font. It's possible that the player doesn't have a font to fall back to. As such, bundle fonts with the game that can render all of the characters in your translation files. Make sure you're licensed to do this. Try to sell me a lower spec truck than the other truck I looked at for more money than they wanted. Yeah. I don't think that process is ever fun. I think dealing with anyone whose entire job is sales and makes a commission is probably not usually fun for the buyer. Because like their incentive is to sell you something, not to make sure that you're happy necessarily. Yeah. I've had some bad experiences in the past. Yeah, I just want to avoid that stuff. I mean, it's not always possible. And really, every like big ticket item, at least in the US, I feel like you have to go through that kind of salesperson. For a car, it's typically a dealership. I mean, you don't have to, right? There are direct sales, but not many. For a house, it's typically like a realtor. For really anything, like it costs more than maybe $1,500. Actually, I guess apartments aren't quite that way, but typically there's still some like management company or whatever, and the reviews are almost always bad on Google. Like to say, have a great weekend. Thank you, Repressal. I think we've lumped in everything that we need to. Yeah. Oh yeah, this is a pretty good tip. Well, I don't know. All right, let's look through these really fast. In fact, I'll just run the slideshow thing, even though I'm not going to really do all this. So I'm not an expert, sharing what I learned, release it successful. Let me cut down text where I can. What was it, Mark Twain who said the thing? Succinctness quote? I don't remember who said it, but it was something along the lines of, oh yeah, this. I didn't have time to write a short letter, so I wrote a long one instead. This is exactly how I feel whenever I'm too verbose about something. It's like, well, I just didn't take the time to trim it down. All right, release a successful localized game. Use Godot and C# examples. Same general thing applies everywhere. And none of this is sponsored. All right, lesson 1. Start the foundation early. Start prepping as soon as you know you're making the game. I was 17 months into a 23-month project when I took it seriously. And I'm going to say basically that's a mistake. Took an entire month to change the code base. Yeah, let's delete the comma from there. Bigger problem is that this work sucks. Don't save it for the end when you have a million other things to do. Yeah. Defer translating as much as possible. So lesson number 1 is do the foundation early, but this is hold off on translating until close to launch. Yeah, this could probably be improved a little bit. But this is a general lesson. I think it's easy to get across. Don't translate everything at once. We started by translating French to 100%. In the process, we can cover tons of problems. Lots of those problems are now lessons in this video. Yeah, I mean, that's included as part of the last bullet point. You may need to change code and don't want to hold people up. Yeah, okay. Okay, so now lesson 4, specific string problems with localizing for a gender. Gendered articles don't exist in English. In English, you have the same thing, tempting to parameterize, hire the character class. Yeah. So yeah, there's no single replacement that you do here. English has only 2 forms, singular and plural. Plural rules look like this for English. I guess we don't need that new line there. Other languages have completely different rules. 2 main takeaways. It can be hard to identify when something is plural in a different language. This is why I said don't translate everything all at once. As long as you use the translate plural mechanism, you should be fine. Cool. Oh yeah, what am I doing? All right, built up strings. So I'm going to say how this is an example of like we have a tooltip. We have several different styles of tooltips. One where you don't have any upgrades, one where you only have shiny loot, one where you have shiny loot and item stacking. And this brown text changes in all of these. So if we just look at this one, here's what we ended up with. But here's what we started with. And it was building just one string to eventually show. I should probably make this smaller so more of it fits. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you can read it or not. The whole point is like, well, we had a bunch of code to just return one text thing at the end, which this I want to highlight in red. Is this the highlight color? No, it's not. But that's fine. I'll make it red. Well, it's not, I guess you'd have one string no matter what, but I guess the real problem here is the concatenation. So we'll highlight that in red. No, you know what? I'll just talk about this. This is stupid. Okay. Number and time formatting relied on C#. Time, we didn't have extensive needs in skeletal sellers. I just manifested each duration class as a string. Yeah. Okay. That's this question. Would a translator be able to alter the structure of the string as needed? Yeah. I manifested 4 separate strings. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. All right, getting code base ready. High level steps. Find strings in your game that need to be localized, translate them, and then use them. So on finding them, Godot game consists of scenes and scripts. We got to show a demo for how to do that. Finding strings in your code. For scripts in particular, Godot can find them ever since that PR. I just showed this. However, I still use xgetText. I should probably write like rationale. As in configurable, only finds Godot specific translation calls like tr. You need to manifest each script, which uses translated strings. Scripts and scenes are outputted the same POT file. There we go. You actually need a suite of tools, all of these. To find out more, check out the official Godot documentation. All you know is xgetText and all are just another means of getting strings from your code into a .pot file. All right, so next up is translating those strings. At this point, you collected the strings in a file. Simplest path forward is to make a spreadsheet. However, I suggest you only do this for small games. Yeah. So I use WebLate. Self-host mine, you can pay for a hosted instance. So there's a translation specific Git repo. I connected my game to it. Translators use WebLate. WebLate communicates with Git. So I simply push new strings to be translated or pull in newly translated strings. Yeah, okay. So lesson number 6, don't use English to identify strings. For skeletal, we frequently add tr calls like this. As shown, English translation is how we identify the string. Okay. So with my new game, I treat English as just another translation. So the string above would have been manifested like this. The identifier is unlikely to ever change. We'd be able to update the English translation freely without breaking other languages. Cool. Writing context on WebLate, you can add screenshots or type arbitrary text. Via code, you can configure your tooling to pull in nearby comments. And TR natively supports a second context string, a second argument, the context string. I suggest adding context on WebLate. Between the two, I suggest adding context on WebLate. Rationale, anyone can comment on it. You can keep adding to it. I guess it's more flexible. Allows screenshots, links, etc. Could even update it from your phone. Yeah. All right, cool. Placeholders has numbered placeholders. This can be difficult for translators. Mitigation, you can always add context on your translation platform. If you want to use name parameters, try a library like this. Yeah, sure. So back to our high level steps. So use the translated strings. To recap, you would have extracted the strings from your scenes and scripts. Translators would have translated all of that text. This was designed in a CSV or PO file. You now have to feed the translated text back into the game. In Godot, this is very easy. So we show a demo here. Hey, Godot. No, 45 and a half. Yeah, this is not for stuck in a broken tutorial. This is for just making a YouTube video eventually. And this has been this has been so intense in terms of prep. I've spent 3 hours today doing this. I had already written out the notes for this ahead of time, and then I'm gonna have to record the video too. But yeah, I'm almost done looking through it for today at least. Mistakes, best to verify translations actually work. I'll say best to verify translations. 2 categories: verifications you do without understanding the language. Is text truncated? Do any translation cause exceptions? Is any formatting broken? Verifications require understanding this. Cool, cool, cool. Then vet your translations. You'll get tons of localization offers via email. Translators, yeah. Typically charge X cents per word. If you're hiring them, it usually means you can't validate their work. I'll just delete this line. I don't think that adds a lot. My flow for vetting people was look through the past translation history, confirm through Let's Play videos if their name appears in the credits of the games they claim to work on. Or Steam. Maybe I'll just mention that. Like sometimes you go to the Steam page and you'll see it on there. All right, I could talk more about that. Miscellaneous notes and lessons, right to left languages. Yeah. Has functionality for this. Check out their documentation. Cool. Okay. Trying to using the specified font to render a glyph. If that doesn't work, it'll fall back to another font. I mean, this is technically 2 words at that point. And then this could be 1 word. Yeah. Even if they do, the font may not match. The fallback font may not match the primary one. Yeah, great. I'll have to localize the text on my Steam page. Haven't heard any complaints. Would have been too much work to take screenshots of each UI in each language. If I had taken the time to automate this, it might have increased sales. Nah, I don't think it's even necessary. I don't even think this is necessary. All right, distributed custom build the translators. They could use command line arguments to specify up-to-date translation files. Cool. Yeah, so that's everything I have. I think this is actually really good content. I'm very happy with how these slides turned out. I know it took 3 hours. So I don't know if I want to say like conclusions here or something. While we're working on a PowerPoint, I wanted to make a video on localization. And we're finally getting around to it. So yeah, I think the biggest takeaways: start the foundation early. Don't reinvent the wheel. Like use what Godot offers. Use Weblate for translations. What else? Don't use English strings. Don't use English to identify your strings. Or like plain English, I should probably say. The identifier is still English, but it's not like plain English text. It's more like CSS. Did you use Godot before the Unity drama 2 years ago? Yeah, the first time I used Godot was in 2020. And that's back when I made this, which is really, really hard to play on this keyboard. So I can only show this off briefly. But it was meant to be a Realm of the Mad God clone. What's going on here? Huh, that's strange. Let me try that again. There we go. Yeah. So you could like rotate this map, you can move around, you could shoot stuff. There were power-ups you could use. You eventually found enemies, you could level up. Where are the enemies? There they are. Yeah. What a beat. Yeah, I made this music a long time ago. Oh, you're talking about the arrows. Well, that's still my music then. Cool. That'll wake you up. Oh, was that super loud? Sorry. It yeah. Sorry. Are you heading out, Magnus? Nice game, by the way. Well, that game, like I said, was based on Realm of the Mad God. Realm of the Mad God's a pretty cool game. Well, I don't know what it's become recently, but it was like a cool game to just kind of drop into. I think it used to be web-based. And do they have any screenshots of the actual world? Yeah, so like you were in a kind of shared world. I mean, the servers or realms or whatever would only have like 50 or 70 players or something. But yeah, you would just see them in the world, and like if they were near you and killed something, you would get experience for it. So like leveling up to the max level was not supposed to be all that difficult, but it was permadeath. So then once you got to max level and started progressing, it's pretty difficult. Do saying hi. Okay, got it. Identified an edge case in my name. You need to make a second account, Magnus So, with two O's at the end, just in case. All right, I think this is pretty good. Cool. So I need to turn this into a video at some point. Maybe we end up doing that on Tuesday. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that's been on my plate. So like convert these slides into a video. I guess I could have just recorded the whole thing here. Still need to do the demos. I have a localization video project in Godot. If it's Friday your time, it's Saturday my time. Or vice versa, right? What if I'm in a time zone ahead of you? What if I fly over your head? All right, well, this has been a great stream for me. I never filled out the journal. I gotta do that. Just gonna fill it in. Hello? Oh, there it goes. Localization video. Spent the morning working on... What do we do? Like adding different monsters and generally fleshing out the game a bit. Spent 3 hours in the afternoon just making a slide deck for my localization video. Jerry, did you take me to Finland? Could be anywhere east of Finland. Could be in India. Could be in Australia. All I need is for my time zone to be ahead of yours. You were technically east of Finland? Not by time zone rules, though. Notes the slides pipeline is strong here. Oh, man. It's been a tedious day. Oh, yeah. That's a good idea. Yeah, you just need to change other bits in your name, Magnus. In fact, the S could already be for Saturday. So you could capitalize the S when it's Friday evening. It's perfect. All right. Well, I started today by saying I was kind of in a funk. I always consider days where I make it to the end of the day, despite being in a funk, a success. And yeah, not only was it a success, but I streamed for 7.5 hours, which is quite a lot. I mean, it's better than whatever Thursday was, right? Yeah, an hour and a half. Yeah, yeah, that would work. Please don't put too much thought into this. All right, I'm gonna get going. Let me go find someone to raid. Hey, Orange Ray. Hope you're doing well. Hope you have a good weekend. Who shall we raid? Wait, where's failed to survive? Hmm, I don't see him online. Maybe he is online. I'm gonna raid Tapir. He's working on a DJ Twitch song request app. I think last time I raided him, he did not have his camera on. I think it's the first time I'm seeing him. Okay, well, take care, everyone. See you, Kevin. Yeah, bye, everyone. I'll be back on Monday, and then I think the schedule might get messed up in the next couple of weeks because of jury duty, but we'll find out. So bye. Take care.